The last section is organic reactions. Organic reactions are typically classified under organic chemistry. We're going to go over these. Whoops, pen would help. 4 topics today. We're going to talk about polymers because we're going to do a lab tomorrow. Do I see you tomorrow? Yes? Yeah. We're going to do a lab about polymers. Tomorrow we're actually going to make 2 different kinds of bouncy balls, and we're going to compare them. So we're going to talk about how do polymers form. We're going to talk about the difference between a monomer and a polymer, what a macromolecule is, and then we'll talk about different types of polymers today. What's a polymer? Poly means many. What's a mer? No, many things. A polymer is a big long chain of molecules. Did you make those decorations in like 1st or 2nd grade where everybody made a link and you put the paper links together? Yeah. So a polymer is kind of like that. Each individual link is called a monomer. One means monomer. And when you link a whole bunch of them together, you get a polymer. A synonym for a polymer, because they're so huge, is a macromolecule. Two different categories of polymers here, natural and synthetic. What's the difference? Synthetic is man-made, natural found in nature. Things like proteins, cellulose, carbohydrates. Remember what this one is? Na, nucleic acids. Next year, bio, DNA. All the stuff that's found in nature, found in living things, versus things that are synthetic, which means man-made. The plastic chair you're sitting on right now, any kind of plastic, your water bottles, nylon, anybody wearing stockings? Yeah. There you go. And vulcanized rubber, the rubber that they put on the soles of your shoes. All man-made. Did that answer that question?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how does this happen? How are we going to do this in the lab? You start out with this monomer. Mono means 1. And I add 2 monomers together to make a dimer. Di means 2. And after 2, we're just going to call it poly. Many. So here's my monomer. We're going to call it ethylene. In this case, I have a carbon-carbon double bonded. When these guys link together, it adds another bond, so we get rid of this double bond. Can you see that there's 6 pieces here to this polymer? So there are 6 monomers linked together in this diagram to make a polymer. Is that okay? Visually we're good? You can see that. Now, how does that happen? Here's a more general picture. I have a short polymer made up of 3, whatever my monomers are. If I want to add another one, it's called condensation or dehydration synthesis. When you hear those 2 words, condensation or dehydration, what do you think of? Moisture in the form of water. So what's going to happen? If I synthesize something, what's that mean? I make it, I put it together. Question?
Yeah, I just saw the
Last
last slide.
slide?
What is the transition polymer?
We're going to show you. Here's how they happen. So dehydration or condensation, when I synthesize something, I add it together. So the addition polymers when you synthesize something. I'm going to add it together by dehydrating it. If you're dehydrated, you take water away from it. You don't have enough water. So here is an H from this guy and an OH from this guy. What's HHO? Water, H2O. The water goes away, and this new bond can form between this polymer here, 1, 2, 3 pieces. Now I have 4. Say I want to add another one. I have a monomer on this side, and now my chain is 4 long. What do I do to add this guy as number 5? What's HHO? Take that, remove the water, bond forms. Now I have 5 parts to my polymer. So in the lab tomorrow, this is going to happen super fast. As you make your bouncy balls, when you mix the 2 chemicals together, they just link really, really fast. Questions?
Yeah. So is the water the product?
The water will be the product. Water will be your byproduct. And then the other product is your chain gets longer. What is what? Nothing?
What is the product of composition?
What's the product? Water gets released as a byproduct, and then your polymer gains 1 more link. So a larger polymer and water. Polymer density. You can have 2 different classes of polymer density. What did we say density was back in like unit 1? Mass over volume. How much stuff can you cram in how much space? So I can have LD, low density, or I can have HD, high density. Who would have more packed in the same amount of space? HD, the high density. PE stands for polyethylene, which if we go back, the one example I showed you here was ethylene. So this would be a polyethylene because there were 6 in a row. So it's just one example of a polymer. So low density polymers versus high density polymers. If you think of plastic, give me an example of something that's plastic. Your chair, your water bottle. Describe the structure of those guys. Do you think that would fall under low density or high density? High density, why? They're compact, they're hard, they're rigid, they're strong. So high density is tightly packed together, they're very strong. Here are your water bottles. Anybody do their laundry? The Tide bottles. Anything that you can recycle. Toys, you're right, the chair, anything that can be melted down and reformed or recycled, that would be high density. They're packed together. Low density, not packed together. Is this plastic? What can I do with a trash bag? Tear it. Is that strong?
No.
Not so much. So these guys are weak. They're not recyclable. Saran wrap, the bag that your bread comes in, frozen vegetable bags, anything that can kind of stretch, you can tear, that's weak. They are loosely packed together. So if we think about these molecules, how might they look different? What would something look like if you could pack it together? A lot of thingies. The carbon chain, that could stack on top of one another. What would interfere with that high density stacking or packing together? If I have, thinking back to the things that we drew. What do we have hanging off? Hydrogens or even bigger? A methyl group. What if this one had an ethyl group? What if this one had something else, right? As you have more and more branches, the bigger the molecule is, the crazier it looks, the harder it's going to be to pack together. So the more branches it has would typically be low density. Did I answer those questions? 3 types of polymers. Again, you'll get into this in biology next year. There are elastomers. If you hear that word, elasto, what's that sound like? Elastic. It sounds like, what is elastic that you know of? A rubber band. So think here of rubber band properties. So if I stretch a rubber band and then I let it go, what happens? It flies. It goes back to its original shape. These mimic natural polymers. They have elastic properties if you stretch them. So the exercise wear, socks that have the elastic, anything that you can stretch and it'll return back to its original shape. Elastic. Second category is fibers. Fibers sound like it's a fiber. Take forensics, you'll do a whole unit on investigating different fibers. What's your dress shirt made out of? Fiber. Fiber equals thread. Does your dress shirt stretch? Is it like an elastic band? No. So these guys are stretchy. Fibers are more thread-like. You can't really stretch your dress shirt. Used in clothing. Polyester. Stuff like that.
Both of those things are a lot more stretchy than like cotton.
Cotton, it also depends on how it's woven together. If it's like a sweater that has a loosely woven thing, you can stretch the threads out, but you're not actually, if you would take a thread out of that sweater, you can't stretch it. It's kind of like a hair. But the way that it's woven, sometimes it is a little more stretchy. And then plastics is the third category, which we just talked about. Anything that can be shaped or molded, things that can be recycled. Plastics are made from, anybody know this?
PVC.
What is PVC? That's what they make the pipes out of, the big white pipes. PVC pipes. Do you know what that stands for? Polyvinyl chloride. It's a big polymer. So plastics can be shaped or molded. That's like the recycling. Without actually destroying your structure, you can make something different. So 3 types. Each of those 3 types have their natural and synthetic pieces that fall in there. What you really, really need to know for next year, you're going to study more of the natural polymers. Natural polymers are found in living things, plants, animals, peoples. Different types that you're going to study in bio. Proteins. What's silk? Where's it come from? Worms, silkworms.
Hey, is that where silk? Milk? No, they don't. Silk is a brand. It's not a milk. Okay.
Collagen. What's collagen? Seen the commercials?
In your like makeup.
It's in your like makeup. It's like when you get old. Collagen isn't when you get old. You have it now. It actually breaks down as you get older, and then you get wrinkles. Yep. So that's kind of the stretchy part to your skin. Keratin. Where's keratin? In your hair. Good. You see the commercials about shampoo and conditioner about keratin. Leather. If you have a leather jacket, what's that made up of? Cow skins. That's a protein. And muscle also fits in protein. Other examples. Carbohydrates. Again, natural polymers. Things like cellulose. Anything that ends in ose is a sugar. Good. Glucose, sucrose. Starch. Glycogen. Nucleic acids. Also natural polymers. You'll focus a lot on this next year. DNA, RNA. RNA. Other natural polymers. Lipids, fats, cell membranes, plant wax. This is all stuff you're going to focus on next year in bio. So here's your introduction. What is my job in chemistry to get you prepared to study this in biology? Flip to worksheet 2 and 3. What did we do in worksheet 2 and 3? What do the structures look like? Exactly. So as long as you know these basic structures, they're going to build on all this
We have to know
for next year.
what